Hello. Welcome to the Skeins of Dreams YouTube channel. I'm Megha. I'm also known as Skeins of Dreams on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me here. If you're a new and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for checking out my video. Since my last episode, there have been quite a few new subscribers to my channel. So thank you so much for joining me. I know now there are a few sewing only and a few knitting only subscribers. So this will be a fun thing to navigate for me. But what I'm planning to do is to hopefully have separate knitting and sewing episodes so that you can pick and choose what you want to watch, and you can watch everything if you're so inclined. But today I'm here to give you a knitting update. It's kind of everything I've been doing in January in terms of knitting. Today is the 30th of January and I have some time to record this episode, so I thought I would come and give you an update on everything that I've been working on. There are definitely finished objects. There's quite a lot of works in progress. Quite a lot of progress, but not I don't think there's too many WIPs. And yeah, just a general catch up. I have a book I recently purchased and I have some mending that I did recently, so I want to talk through all of that and a little bit of future planning as well. So I hope you have a warm beverage. It's a very cold day here in Pittsburgh and it's bright out because it has snowed a bunch, and should make for a cozy knitting chat, hopefully. All right, let's jump right into it. I have two finished objects. The first one was actually Perseids sweater that I was working on in December, and the reason I'm not going to talk too much about it is because I did everything I knit in 2025 video earlier in January, and I mentioned that sweater there. But I'll just quickly give you a recap and I'll put a picture of the sweater. So I was knitting a raglan sweater for Perseids and I finished it, I think late December actually, but I'm just mentioning it because I haven't really shown it in in a regular knitting episode. So it was a Holst Cielo raglan sweater that I kind of made up. I used Rebecca Close Dorney pullover numbers to start the sweater, just to cast on, and then I did my own increases on the raglan. I added extra short rows in the back, and I also added extra increases in the back to have the back a bit bigger than the front. And I really like how the sweater turned out. It is definitely on the looser side for him, but he thinks it's a very sweatshirty kind of a garment, and he really enjoys wearing it as a comfortable throw-on sweater. And I think the fun thing I did was, not fun, but like an interesting thing I did was I added a crochet. I crocheted the neckline on the inside, so to make it a bit more stable. Holst Cielo is a very stretchy, elasticy yarn almost, so adding that line of crochet really helped stabilize the neckline. So I'm really happy with that. If you would like to know more details, I do mention it and talk through and show everything in my video on everything I knit in 2025. But the second finished object is what we'll discuss more today, and that is my finished modern twist sweater. I'm wearing it. Of course, I'll put pictures and maybe a video of me showing you the sweater. It's quite sunny today, so I can't really do anything about that. I really enjoyed test knitting this sweater for Heidi Kiermaier, and Heidi had come out with this test call, I think, end of December, and I cast on, I want to say, in the time between Christmas and New Year's, and then I finished it like in maybe 2.5 weeks or something ridiculous like that. Like, it was such a fun make, very potato chippy, and I thoroughly enjoyed making this sweater, and you'll see how much I enjoyed when I show you my whips. So this is a simple cabled sweater, and maybe I should stand up and show this to you. So as you can see, it's a really nice cabled sweater. The cables are very simple to memorize and follow. You can see some, I mean, the camera is picking this up a lot more than I observe it, but I did some what is it called, helical knitting, when I was using this yarn, and it has kind of created some sort of a line that you can observe. When I was knitting it, I could actually observe this line where I did the helical knitting, and I was a bit annoyed by it, but to be honest, the camera picks it up more than I observe it when I'm wearing it, so I'm okay with that. I really like how this sweater turned out. I will say that this yarn turned out to be a bit more stripy than I was expecting it to be, and it has a lot of tonal, it's very tonal, and that's what's ended up making it look stripy, especially in the sleeves. This is the Farmer's Daughters Fibers Pishkun DK. It's a beautiful yarn, lovely to knit with. I really like Rambouillet yarn. It's very pretty and very bouncy. Okay, I thought it would be better to come back and talk. I was just showing you the sweater and not my face. So yeah, it's a very bouncy yarn, and I really enjoyed knitting with it. As I pointed out, it's super stripy, and I think I was a little bit disappointed with that because the yarn is definitely expensive, and I think it's also the nature of the color. So if you pick maybe a lighter color that requires less saturation or something, maybe you won't see such obvious tonality in it. But because this is a very specific type of a green, I think that it does appear to be much more tonal than the lighter colors. That being said, I have worn this sweater like 5 times already since I finished it, and when I'm wearing it, I really don't observe those things. But when I'm in front of the camera and I'm trying to show you things and I'm pointing out stuff, it's a bit more obvious. And in like my real life or outside, when I wear it out, like no one really observes those kind of details, right? So what did I want to say? The sweater is cast on the back. You cast on the back neckline, basically neckline and shoulders. You knit the back, and then you pick up and knit the fronts, and then you join under the arm. The one modification I did have to make was I increased the armhole depth. For whatever reason, I think it could have been a combination of my row gauge and just the armhole depth I prefer on my sweaters. I had to knit a bit more than what is given in the pattern. And I'm very happy with how it ended up because I didn't want it. So here's my underarm. So I didn't want it too close to my underarm because then it encourages felting of the yarn right under there. So I prefer my sweaters with a little bit of ease, but you can see that it's not that much of ease. Like, it doesn't look bad. It is a modified drop shoulder. There's some short rows you have to do for the sleeve. I really enjoyed working on the pattern, on the sweater itself. The yarn and the pattern combination worked out perfectly, and it knits up really quickly because you kind of always want to reach the next cable, and so you just keep knitting, and it's very potato chippy. I had a really nice time testing Heidi's patterns. I really like Heidi's patterns, and you'll see why when I share my whips. So this is a very Heidi Kirrmaier episode. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed knitting this sweater and wearing it. Yarn is pretty soft, so it's very next to skin soft. Like, even if you feel you are sensitive to rustic yarns, this doesn't feel rustic at all. But I am not seeing any sort of pilling or anything. I know it's just been 5 wears, but it's held up pretty decently for this month, and I will update you of course later how this yarn holds up over time. But super happy with my modern twist sweater. I think it fits me really well. I made the 49-inch finished size. My bust is around 45 and a half, 46 inches. So it has about 3 to 4 inches of ease on me, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. I did make it a bit longer than I usually make my sweaters, and I'm kind of happy I did that. The only thing you have to watch out for is because of the length of, the cable chart, you need to figure out where you want to end the body so that you don't end it just right after a cable. You would like it after the twist of the cable. Ideally, you would knit a few more inches before you start doing the ribbing. So you just have to pay a little bit of attention where you want to end the body and how long you need to make it. But it's not terrible. There's a lot of leeway, and you can adjust it to the length that you'd like to make your sweater. So not a big deal at all. And I know Heidi has a turtleneck option mentioned in the pattern. I didn't choose to do a turtleneck. I run pretty warm, and this is a worsted weight sweater. Actually, that's not true. I don't run warm. I'm always cold in my arms and feet. My arms, my hands, my feet are always cold, but my neck isn't. So if I make a turtleneck, it becomes a bit too warm, especially in a worsted weight sweater. So I chose to leave it like a crew neck option, and I'm really happy I did that, and I wore it to work a bunch of times already. I'm repeating myself at this point. So that's the modern twist sweater, and I think it makes sense to jump into my whips, because I like the sweater enough that I cast on another one. I like the pattern enough, but this second version is not for me. It's for a friend. So one of my good friends, she has been asking me to make her a sweater. It's definitely going to be a commission. She typically ends up paying for whatever I make for her. I don't charge like making charges significantly. I tell her how much the yarn is worth or whatever. If I sewed something for her last year and I told her how much the fabric was worth, and she then decides how much she wants to pay me for my making itself. I mean, she's a good friend, so it's not that I'm looking to make money on this thing, but I really like knitting for people who are knit worthy or worthy of me spending time to make them knitted or sewn items. So anyway, that being said, I started a second modern twist sweater, and you can see this is a smaller size, so I'm knitting the size small. Mine was the size large, and this is the second size, which is the size small, and it is working up really well. I'm super happy with it. So this yarn is my latest obsession, which is, I'm shocked that I haven't knit with this yarn already. It's just Barocco Ultra Alpaca, and I thought it would be a good yarn to make a sweater for someone who's kind of new to hand knit and woolen stuff, because I think like commercially produced yarns are a bit better in terms of sturdiness, especially this one, and it's very soft. So if you don't know how sensitive you are to rustic yarns, so I just wanted to use something that was sturdy and kind of soft and had a lot of color options, so I could give her color options, though she selected like a neutral. She's very much into beiges and blacks and neutrals, so I expected that's another thing I like about making stuff for other people, is they pick colors that I wouldn't pick for myself, and so I do get to knit with stuff that I typically won't make for myself. So this color is called Eider Down. I don't know what that means. I didn't look it up either. I should have looked it up. It's a very it's almost a grayish, like it's gray but not really gray. It's beige, it's not really beige. It reminds me of white clay, if that makes sense. I do like this color. I personally, if I was making it for myself, I would pick like a much brighter, even if I was making a neutral sweater for myself, I would pick like a brighter beige, something more saturated, but like she looks really good in these colors, so I was happy to knit this for her. I did swatch, and I did want to show you my swatch because I do feel that I'm rowing out a bit. This swatch has been washed and blocked, like it's a bigger swatch, but I do think you can see my pearls and knits a bit, like you can tell that there might be some gauge difference. It does look better in the blocked swatch than it does on the sweater, but you know what, I'm not gonna think too much about it. It's a handmade sweater, it'll look handmade, but I'm sure it'll be really nice and cozy and she's gonna love it. And I think I'm interested in seeing like if the heat from your body is going to make the stitches calm down a bit more. But anyway, same way as obviously the one I'm wearing. So you cast on here, you knit the back, and then you do some armhole shaping and you hold the back stitches, and then you pick up the fronts and you do the same. This is a small size, but I still had to increase the length of the armhole. So what I made my friend do was pick a sweater that she currently owns, which fits her really well, and I asked her to measure the armhole depth on it. And I made sure that the sweater she was picking was also like a modified drop shoulder type, ready to wear sweater. So I did increase the armhole depth on her sweater. I don't know how this is going to fit her because it is a small size. Of course, this will stretch out a bunch when I block it. Like the sweater itself looks a little shrunken in when you're knitting. The same thing happened with me. I think I have a video. It's not a very good quality video, but I have a video of how the sweater looked before I blocked it. And then I have a video of me obviously wearing it, or a picture of me wearing it after I blocked it. And you can see there's a lot of difference. And that's because of the cables. So the same thing's gonna happen on hers. Like I do plan on blocking this out considerably. I picked the size which will give me a 38-inch sweater, and her bust is a 35, so I do plan to see if I can get a little bit extra more than 38 on this, to see if I can stretch it out, because it has some alpaca content, so I didn't want to make it too big and see that if it grows out a lot, like it'll be too loose. But anyway, I think either way it'll fit her fine. And I mean, this armhole looks big, but then when you don't pick up every single stitch, right? You skip a few stitches when you pick up, so then it kind of sits well, which is what I did on this one. So I am knitting the modern twist again, and I'm super happy with it. Like this yarn is so nice to knit with. Funny thing is, I bought 3 sweater quantities of this yarn recently. None of it is for me. So this is for a friend that I'm currently knitting. I bought a light gray color for Baljeet because I'm gonna make him the Mille Cardigan, and I'll put a picture of that. And then I'm planning to make another friend of mine. He wants a cable sweater, so I'm making him I think the Moby sweater by Petite Knit. So you're gonna see a lot of ultra alpaca. It's kind of my newfound obsession, I guess. Modern twist sweaters, ultra alpaca. There's a lot of repetition happening in this episode. But yeah, so that is my first work in progress. All right. This actually was, I mean, I talked about it first because I didn't want to talk about the modern twist in the beginning when I'm talking about the finished object, and then talk about it at the end. But this was the more recent cast on. I only cast this on last week. There have been other things I have been working on since the beginning of this month. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is one of this cardigan. Firstly, it's a cardigan. I have been wanting more cardigans in my wardrobe for a while, and this pattern has been in my kind of dream knits. Oh my god, I'm at the end of a round, or a beginning of a round. Oh no. Hold on, maybe I'll just like transfer stitches, because it's gonna be so difficult to show you this without being at the end of a round. Why did I leave it at this odd location? Who knows? So I'm just gonna slip the stitches onto the right needle so that I can just show you, because I'm at the beginning of a round, so if I have to do the whole round, it'll take me a bit. Very, very classic rookie podcaster. Not even error, like it's just, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, this is another Heidi Kirrmaier design. It's called the Perseids Cardigan. Look at that lace. It is so pretty. And I love this color. This color is gonna be so good. It's almost like a neutral for me. I knit the brightest colors and then I call them neutrals. That's what I do. This is the Perseids Cardigan. It's a beautiful, simple lace pattern. It has a very unique construction in terms of the button bands. You're knitting the button bands. Technically, it's not the button band because there aren't any buttons on it. It's an open cardigan, but you're knitting the ribbed bands along with the rest of the cardigan, which I love, which means when I finish it, there will be no finishing involved. It'll be done when I finish it. I've knit a bunch on it. Like I have already knit that much on the body and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. This yarn is so nice to knit with. I'm going to talk about the yarn in a second, but I just want to show you this beautiful cardigan in all its glory. I have wanted to knit this Perseids cardigan since a very long time, and I'm finally knitting it and I'm super happy with it because it looks like it's going to be a lot of work because you see that all over lace and you're like, oh my god, that's going to be so much work, but it is really not. It's a very easy to memorize lace and it only happens once in so many rows, and then you do a bunch of stockinette between the lace rows, so it's super simple. And the best part about it, because of the whole no need to finish it, is that if I wasn't sure I had enough yarn to finish the sweater in my size, or I would just be like, I think it asked for 1280 yards and I had 1200 yards and I wasn't sure if, are my sleeves not going to be long enough? Is my body not going to be long enough? So in that scenario, when you're expecting to play yarn chicken, it's nice to have something you're knitting which doesn't need any finishing, because since the ribbing, the bands are being done along with the body, I don't need any extra yarn. So what I'm planning to do is at some point I'll stop knitting on the body, I'll start the sleeves and knit the sleeves, and then whatever yarn is left, I can just add that to the length of the body. And one of my favorite things is Heidi makes you do like this neat little trick when you're doing the ribbing, and it doesn't give you a raggedy edge. It gives you such a neat finish to the ribbing. I love that so much. And I don't know why I never came across this before, because I want to use that trick on everything that I make from now on, everything that has a ribbed edge where I want it to. I wonder if you can do it for a stockinette edge as well. I need to try it. But I love how that gives you a straight edge. Anyway, I've been talking for so long without showing you the yarn. This is a yarn I purchased at Rhinebeck, I think in 2024, I want to say. So this is by Shenandoah Fibers. It is an alpaca blend yarn. So this has 50% alpaca, 10% bamboo/silk, and 40% various wools. So this is a wool, alpaca, bamboo, silk blend. It is it's not as drapey as you would think. Like you can see, like, how people do, they hold up the skein, and if the skein holds up, but you can see this is more drapey than, say, the Barocco Ultra Alpaca, because it like holds up straight, and this doesn't really, and both of them have alpaca blend in it. I think the silk and the bamboo add to the drapiness of this yarn, and this is just a, what is this? 50% superfine alpaca and 50% Peruvian wool. So I think the bamboo and silk are giving this bit more drape. I bought this at Rhinebeck, and actually Selma of Little Big Knits also bought this at Rhinebeck at the same time. So we both were shopping at this Shenandoah fiber booth together. And Selma made a Tati Lutzak sweater, which is in her 2025 sweater roundup that she did recently. But she made a pullover out of this, and I, like, based on what she talked about the sweater and how it fits now and how it has grown or whatever, like, you know, I think she talked about the edge of the sweater or the hem of the sweater being a bit bigger than what it was originally. I was like, I should really use this for a cardigan, because if it's gonna grow or lose its shape a little bit, at least a cardigan will be the right type of garment for me that you know, I wouldn't mind if it did that. So I'm super happy that I picked this pattern, and I've been knitting on it slowly. I'm kind of doing this thing where I have 3 projects going on, and I'm just like rotating which one I work on, and that's been working just fine for me, and thoroughly enjoying the knitting process, to be honest. I'm in no rush, but clearly this will get done. I think the next time I'm on here, I should have finished this cardigan. I'm so pleased with it. It looks really nice on camera too. So that's the Perseids cardigan, and I will say that I did the same thing on this one. This pattern actually mentions check the armhole depth before you join in the round, and so I like my armhole depth on like drop shoulder stuff to be around 9.5 10 inches. My bicep itself is like 16 inches. So if I make this to be the depth to be 9.5 10, that gives me like about whatever 4 inches of ease, 2 to 4 inches of ease, and so I prefer that. And of course, when you pick up, like I said, you're not going to pick up every stitch, you're going to jump stitches, so it's not going to be that deep, it's going to go up a bit. So that's my second work in progress, my Perseids cardigan. The third one is a spectacular work in progress, if I may say so myself. I have been obsessed with Colorwork now. I don't know what happened suddenly. I kind of realized that last year I went for very safe sweaters, and I already talked about this, like how I was super stressed with work last year, and so I went with very safe makes. And this year, I mean, right now, I have the brain space to do whatever I feel like. I don't have any test knits, so I went all out, and I'm knitting a big Colorwork vest. And this also has been a pattern that has been in my want to knit list for a very long time. This is the Voe Vest by Mary Jane Mucklestone, and I am so happy with how this looks. This looks beautiful. I would say that my colorwork tension isn't the best. It looks very bubbly if you look at it closely, but I think I haven't been doing so much color work, and so I feel like I almost have to knit a bunch of them for my gauge to settle, because I do like an English and continental. I'm usually a continental knitter, but I used to be an English knitter and I taught myself continental, so I can do two-handed color work no problem. But I do think that my gauge can get better. I'm just saying that based on how the pattern appears. Like, without blocking, I feel like the pattern looks muddled. I do strictly follow the color dominance thing. Like, I hold the background color in my right hand and I hold the contrast color in my left hand. So I do all of that. But I still feel like my color work gauge can do better. I want to talk a little bit about how I picked colors for this project. I'm not saying I picked the best colors or anything, but I just wanted to talk through my thinking for this particular one. So what I'm going to do is actually show you the original colors of this project and then talk you through how I went about picking the colors that I wanted. And if you'll give me just a second. So I'm gonna put on screen what the original colors of this project were and how I went about replacing them with colors that I had in stash. My goal was to use stash yarn only for this and to use colors that I'm a bit more comfortable with. So the first thing is, maybe actually using this is better. The first color on top is called Grouse, and it's like a brown main color. And I knew that for my sweater, I didn't want the main color to be brown. I wanted it lighter, so I picked like an oatmeal color for the main color. So then once I decided my main color, the rest of them follow along with that. The next color that's been used, and you can look, and I'm obviously not going to show you the chart itself, but kind of helps to see the chart and look at the colors and see how much of a color is appearing in the motif, right? So the next color here is Cosmos, which is that blue. So that blue was gonna appear a bunch. And so I decided that this purple is my second most dominant color in the sweater or vest or whatever. So I then decided that it's gonna be purple. And then with the blue, the color that was going to appear the most or in contrast with the blue is the orange. So I kind of kept close to the original colors in terms of contrasts and to make it easier for myself. And I kind of like the whole purple orange combination. So I did pick the orange to go with it. I could have picked different shades of orange. You can obviously play with the saturation and shade of the color. I just had this bright orange, and you know I like bright colors, so I picked that. It is not as high of a contrast as you would think, but even in the actual garment, the blue and the orange are not that high of a contrast themselves. The next color is a color that appears slightly, but it's this purple heather, and I did kind of stick to the same color family, but I had a nice plum color, so I thought I'm gonna use this as my purple heather. And you can see that it appears over here and it appears over here. So that's how I decided what my purple heather replacement was gonna be. The next color is Scotch Broom. So this is the color that plays a bunch with the main color in the chart. So in at least one motif of the chart. And it's a light yellow like I showed you, and I just picked like a deeper yellow that I have. So it's a mustard color that I picked, and that's how I replaced the lemon yellow in the actual garment with the mustard yellow in mine. After that you have Granny Smith, which is a light green. Obviously, like lemon yellow and light greens are not my thing. So the Granny Smith is supposed to play a bunch with the purple. And you can see this is my swatch, and this is what I tested out to check if the colors work together. And the Granny Smith I replaced with this deep green. But the thing is, the deep green was not appearing very well with the purple. So this was my swatch, and once I did this, I was like, you know what, I love this portion, but I don't like this portion exactly because the green seemed too dark because I was in love with the purple, so I stuck with that. I didn't want to change it. And what I did instead, I'm trying to show the colors. So this is what I swatched with originally, that's the deep green. Instead, I decided to make the green a bit lighter so that it worked better with the plum. And that worked out pretty well, I would say so. And I'm super happy with how the plum and the green play together. Okay. Finally, there was a Clyde blue color that was supposed to be the major, like, you know, it's supposed to play well with the main color in the second motif. However, I felt like I didn't want that those many colors in it. Like, I was already happy with how this motif looked. I figured out the plum and the green here. So what I decided was I had enough of the mustard that I'm just gonna do mustard over here. So that's something I completely threw in there. So instead of the Clyde blue, I just used this yellow and I used it here. And I think that was the only decision which was kind of out of left field. Basically, I wanted to use one less color because I felt like it was too much already. And while I was knitting the sample or the swatch, I was already trying to decide what this second motif color palette needs to be. And I really like the mustard with the white, and so I picked the mustard here as well. So I kind of wanted to like just talk through this color picking thing, because sometimes I feel like I stress myself out about colorwork knitting because I don't know what colors to pick. And to be honest, I don't want to buy a kit because I don't like the idea of someone else picking the colors for me. It's just like a lose-lose situation. Like, I don't want to knit it because I'm too overwhelmed by the colors, and then I don't want to buy a kit because I really don't want someone else to pick the colors for me. Anyway, so I decided what I'm gonna do is follow the main or the sample that the designer has provided, because I do really love the color combination in the Voe Vest. I just wanted a different look for myself, and I kept thinking about what colors do I have in my wardrobe, like what shirts I have in my wardrobe, and how would I wear this. So I think I have good light pinks. I can wear it with a pink. But what I also ended up doing was buy a plum color fabric so that I can wear this with a plum shirt. And that's a outfit just waiting to happen. Once I finish the vest, I have the plum shirt fabric. I even washed and pre-washed and pre-shrunk it. I'm gonna do some sewing, and soon, maybe next month, you'll end up seeing me wear this vest with a plum shirt. So that's the story of how this whole thing came to be. And I'm enjoying this pattern so much. I think I actually powered through a lot of the colorwork knitting. It was just very like looking forward to the next color change or looking forward to the next motif, so I kept knitting on it excessively. And then I have also started my steeks, which is why the shape is a bit weird now, but like this is a steek now, and I'm in the middle of doing decreases. I just did like at every row you only knit with 2 colors, so I just did like an alternating steek. I cast on the number of steek stitches that they suggest in the pattern. So it's basically turning out super well, I would say. I haven't steeked in a while. I haven't cut a steek and all of that in a while. I did one way like 4 or 5 years ago when I made a cardigan and I steeked the cardigan. And this will be my next one. And this has 3 steeks because it has 2 steeks for the underarms and 1 for the neckline. But I'm actually looking forward to it because it's going to be fun doing it. I just quickly wanted to show you the back of the vest. I think my floats look pretty decent. I don't have any, don't seem to be too tight. I think the reason, and I actually didn't get into the yarn that I use for it. So the main yarn I'm using for this sweater is actually the Blackberry Ridge Woolen Mill fingering weight yarn. So this yarn I have used a bunch in the past, but this yarn has a very like bouncy, and it's a two-ply yarn, but it has a very bouncy feel to it, and I think that's what's lending the whole bubbly effect in the color work. And I'm not sure you can, and because I'm not using the same yarn for all the colors. For example, this light green, this is a Biche Bouche fingering lamb's wool or something. And oh, I didn't use this one. Then this plum color is actually, it's called Nash Island yarns. I bought this at Rhinebeck 1 year. So it's a very sticky and good for color work kind of yarn. This purple is actually by Woolly Thistle. It's their Rambler yarn. And this is a 80-10-10 blend of Dorset Corriedale and Grey Romney. I really like this lupin colorway. So full disclosure, Woolly Thistle sent me this yarn last year to sort of use and then also do a giveaway on my channel. But last year I completely lost track of all my knitting plans. I wasn't a very good collaborator and I didn't end up doing it. So the idea for this vest started off with, what should I make with this yarn? That's how I started thinking about how do I want to incorporate this. I didn't really feel like making socks. I think they do say that you can make socks with this because it's a 3-ply yarn which has been spun quite tightly, though it doesn't have any nylon. Then I thought of doing mitts, colorwork mitts or something. And then it kind of derailed and I was like, you know what? I really like this purple. It looks really good with this white. Maybe I should make a vest. And that kind of was the seed for this whole Voe Vest idea. And now I'm making this vest, of course, with a bunch of other colors and using this Rambler yarn. So because it was always meant to be a use a skein and give away a skein, obviously I kept this skein intact and I want to do a giveaway for it now. It's a year too late, but I feel really bad about not being able to keep up with commitments last year. So what I would request you to do is to leave a comment in this video. What you can tell me what you're working on. You can talk about a project. You can leave any type of comment you want. The prompt, if you need a prompt, it's just I would love to know what projects you're working on. And I will pick a winner and I will ship this Rambler yarn along with an additional gift card to Woolly Thistle. If you're in a country that's not the United States, I know shipping has become like a whole deal. I can work with you and send you a gift card to a store of your choice, so we can figure that out. But I would really love to give away this skein to someone in the US, if not globally. We can figure it out. Since it's only a skein of yarn, I'm pretty sure I can ship it globally. So, but I will work with you if you prefer something else and you don't want me to ship it from the US. We can figure that out, but I would really love to do a giveaway for this skein. It's a beautiful yarn. The color is wonderful. I think I have more than enough because I'm already doing decreases and this is how much I'm left with. I don't think I need more for the vest. And if I do need, they're a US based store, so I'll be able to get more from them. But yeah, so I don't want to write a giveaway anywhere in like the title or anything. I prefer doing it for people who watch my podcast regularly and watch it all the way through. Thank you so much for doing that. So if you're watching this, please leave a comment and you'll be included in a giveaway. Thank you so much. So that is basically how this whole thing came to be. I am super, super, super pleased with it, as I have been saying every few minutes. So I'm gonna knit a bunch more on this weekend. I'm actually thinking I can finish it this weekend, like finish the knitting portion. So I think I saw on a Instagram reel recently, and I think it was Gudrun Johnston who made the reel. And she needle felted the steeked edge so that it lays flat and then it prevents the yarn from fraying. And I really want to try this, especially because I have used a bunch of different yarns. They're all non-superwash, so I'm not too worried about that. But I really want to do the needle felting and see how that will work out. So I'm going to cut the steek and then do the needle felting. I'm gonna knit do the ribbing of the armholes and the neckline, and then do the needle felting like she did in her video. But that was, I'm gonna try and see if I can include a video of me doing it. But since it's gonna be the first time I do it, I'm not sure if it'll work out like I expect it to, so we'll see. But that is the long-winded story of my Voe Vest, and I'm super, super, super happy to be working on it. Okay, those were all my whips, and in this episode I'm also going to talk briefly about some mending that I did recently. So if you're a long-time viewer, you know that I knit the Kerr Sweater for Baljeet. It is a sweater pattern by Rebecca Clow, who's Crea Bea on all the interwebs, and it is a beautiful sweater, and it's I think I knit it a few years ago now, so Baljeet's favorite sweater actually of all the sweaters that I knit him. And a few months ago, I think he was walking at work, he was like, I don't know what he was doing. Maybe it was a door or some sort of like a sharp edge to a door or something. And exactly in the portion, the colorwork doesn't extend all over the sleeve. It only has a little band of colorwork. And exactly in the colorwork area, he ripped some of the stitches and it made a hole. Now, I looked at a bunch of videos on how to fix holes in sweaters. And you can do duplicate stitching, and then you can reinforce the ripped stitches and everything. And I'm gonna put a video of me trying to mend it, and you'll see what I ended up doing in the end. So I'm gonna insert the video here. So this is the hole we have to fix today. I have the yarn and I have some spare needles, a tapestry needle. Let's get started. I started with picking up around the hole, so I picked up a couple rows above it, and then I also picked up a couple rows below the hole itself. While I was doing this, I was trying to figure out what I'm going to do, how I'm going to fix this hole, because I didn't really have a clear plan in mind. I then took some of the spare yarn I have and tried to do duplicate stitching, but it was bothering me that the pattern would be interrupted. I decided to stop doing that. Instead, I decided that I would pick up along the stockinette portion so that I could separate the stockinette portion from the colorwork portion of the sleeve. And once I had all the stitches picked up, I did the most dramatic thing ever and I just cut the sleeve. I then had to rip out all the colorwork that was messed up because there was a hole in the sweater, and then recovered my colorwork stitches on a needle. Once I had secured the colorwork portion and then the stockinette portion, I reknit the colorwork. My sleeve was then ready to be put back together. I needed to stitch or Kitchener my sleeve back together. I found the center line of the stockinette portion and the center line of the colorwork portion, and I started doing Kitchener stitches. After this point, it was pretty straightforward. I really enjoy doing Kitchener stitches, especially on socks. I followed the same procedure and grafted the sleeve back together. It did look a little weird before blocking, but thanks to the magic of blocking, the sleeve looked as good as new. So as you can see, this sweater is now perfect and Baljeet is very happy. I have to say that the sweater sat in my to mend pile for 3 months before I did all of that. It took me only an evening, but it had to marinate for 3 months before I could do that. He's very happy now. It's given the sweater some new life, and he's been wearing it a lot again. So I'm super pleased that I ended up mending the sweater, and I have a few other older sweaters that need a bit of love, and I think this has given me a little bit of encouragement that I am completely able to fix any such holes. I think next time I do want to try how to do duplicate stitching and mending like a hole in a Colorwork sweater, but I think it's a bit more tedious in the way that you have to know where in the pattern you are for it to like be fixed, and then you have to follow the pattern and the stitches, for which I didn't have a lot of patience this time, but hopefully I'll get there. I think fixing a hole in a plain stockinette region would be easier to do, instead of just taking scissor to it. But I'm so glad that I ended up doing this and that he has his sweater back and he can wear it as much as he wants. So yeah, that was the mending portion. All right, so now let's move on to some future plans that I have for my knitting. I did already talk about the Mille cardigan that I want to make for Biljit, in the ultra alpaca yarn that I bought for him. I also got ultra alpaca for a friend for a Moby sweater by Petite Knit. And these are things that are going to happen at some point this year, but I'm not like super confident they're going to be the exact next thing that I knit on. But one of the things that I really am excited about is I want to make another Colorwork vest. Of course, true to nature, I am knitting on a vest and I'm already planning what's next. So I have some beautiful yarn from Jameson. This is the Jameson's Shetland Spindrift in these beautiful 4 colors. I kind of really wanted something with pinks and greens again, as usual. So I picked these 4 colors, and this colorway is going to be the main color of the vest. And I'm super looking forward to making the Arkipelag Vest. It's a design by Kristen Drysdale. I hope I'm saying her name right. I'm going to put everything on the screen here, but she has a free pattern. I think it's by Yarbo, is it? It is a free pattern on Yarbo, and it is by Kristen Drysdale, so I was not wrong. This image I was showing was on Ravelry, but you have to go to the Yarbo website to be able to download it, and I think it is in a Scandinavian language. Is Yarbo Norwegian or Swedish? Sorry, I cannot remember, but it is in a Scandi language, and I downloaded it, but I'm going to use the maybe stitch counts from, like, I'll have to do some math, or I'll have to just put it into Google Translate and translate it into English, especially if I don't meet gauge. But I'm planning to make the Arkipelag Vest, and these will be my colors. I haven't decided what will be what, but this definitely is the main color because that's what I bought the most of, this one. And then I have to figure out how I place the rest of the colors. I definitely will make a swatch, but I wanted to try one vest at least, or one garment, using the same yarn throughout, or the same like brand of yarn, so that I can figure out if it's my gauge that's doing the bubbling or is it just the yarn. So watch out for that. It's gonna happen soon. All right. Other than that, what else am I planning to make? I have a book to show. I obviously, in my Colorwork crazy, bought this Stitch in Time Colorwork Edition Volume 3. This is by Susan Crawford, and it is a beautiful, beautiful book. I love the sizing on it, especially like it also starts with showing you like a vintage pattern gallery and everything, and a lot of the sweaters are inspired by these vintage patterns. I don't have books 1 and 2, I just have the 3rd one, and I really love this sweater. It is so beautiful. This is called Ronsley, and I'm going to try not to show you everything, but look at the size chart. It's a beautifully done size chart. I really enjoyed flipping through this book to see what else can be made. It has some accessories, and those are so beautiful. I think this book has been out for a while. I don't remember when it was released, and I had seen this vest that I really liked, and I wanted it for the vest. And then finally I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna buy the book, and I'm trying to show you the vest. This is the vest pattern I bought this book for. Look at that. It is so beautiful. I don't know that I'm gonna do it as a buttoned up in the front. I might just do it as a full vest, but I'm really looking forward to making some patterns from this book. I do really like this one as well. I don't like the colors particularly, but I do like the pattern. So it's been really nice flipping through this book and thinking of all the colorwork stuff that I can make. I hope my mojo stays and that I'm actually able to use some of my books, because I have a lot of books and I have not really made a lot of patterns from books. So I really need to do that. But hopefully there's some beautiful colorwork stuff in my future. Apart from that, I think I still have plans to make the Celeste sweater. I recently bought some yarn for it. My yarn has arrived and it's ready to go basically. So as soon as one of my projects clears out from my needles, I'll be able to think about, I'm gonna try and do something like, you know, one sweater for me, one for a friend kind of a thing, so that I'm always knitting for myself, along with making all these gift things that I've been planning and making. But it's very typical of me to line up my queue a bunch in January, and then as the year proceeds and work gets crazy, some stuff falls off my plans, but it's okay. I don't mind. I love the planning stages as well. So, all right. I think I've started rambling a bunch. I think that's everything I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for watching until the end if you're still here. I hope you enjoyed this video. There was a lot of cables, colorwork, and lace in it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Until then, stay safe and happy knitting. Bye.